when motorcycle clubs cross paths with the mafia. Motorcycle clubs are known for their intensive rivalries with each other. We've seen them shooting and fighting each other, causing deaths, injuries, and chaos. But what about their encounters with the mafias? Do they also tangle with these dangerous criminal groups? The truth is, most motorcycle clubs are not just about bikes and brotherhood. Some of them get involved in illegal activities like drug trades, robberies, and other violent stuff. Sometimes they even team up with mafias to expand their shady deals and protect their interests. However, not all these alliances last. Sometimes they become enemies due to power struggles, betrayals, and territorial disputes. Today, we will delve into the nature of rivalries between 4 prominent motorcycle clubs and their counterparts in organized crime. 1. Hells Angels versus Ontario Mafias. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is one of the most well-known and notorious outlaw motorcycle clubs in the world. The club was founded in 1948 in Fontana, California, USA, and has since expanded internationally with chapters in numerous countries. In most parts where they operate, the Hells Angels and Mafia groups have established allegiances. However, the situation in Ontario, Canada is quite different, as there has been a long-standing and intense conflict between them and the Ontario Mafia. The animosity between these two groups was fueled by a clash between the new generation of bikers and the established criminal network. The Hells Angels, represented by the aggressive young computer-friendly newcomers, sought to assert their dominance and expand their influence in the region. On the other hand, the Ontario Mafia represented the traditional and established criminal organization in the Greater Toronto area. They resisted the encroachment of the Hells Angels and their allies, perceiving them as a threat to their power and territory. The conflict between the two groups escalated with attacks on the Hells Angels gathering places, including a Woodbridge members' tattoo parlor and a London Hells Angels Makoka cottage, resulting in casualties. However, the Hells Angels made a strategic move to strengthen their position by absorbing members from 13 other local and regional biker organizations. Through this expansion and consolidation, the Hells Angels were able to establish a stronger presence and assert their authority. As a result, the violence between the two rival groups subsided. 2. Outlaw Motorcycle Club versus Detroit Mafia Jackalone Crew. The Outlaw Motorcycle Club and the Jackalone Crew of the Detroit Mafia found themselves on the brink of a potential war in the early 1990s. The Outlaws, led by Harry Taco Bowman, had been involved in an alliance with the Jackalone brothers, Anthony Tony Jack Jackalone and Vito Billy Jack Jackalone, serving as enforcers and partners in the Mafia's narcotics trade. However, despite their cooperation, the Outlaws had their eyes set on the lucrative and illicit profits generated by the Jackalone brothers' dice game. Determined to seize control, Taco Bowman and the Outlaws began demanding protection money directly from the operators of these gambling establishments, diverting the revenue that had been previously gone to the Jackalone brothers' outfit. In response, the leaders of the Detroit Mafia crew placed a hit on Bowman. They assigned the task to 2 ambitious soldiers within their ranks, Nove Toko and Paul Big Polly Curado. Multiple attempts to assassinate Bowman were made, but each one failed to eliminate their target. It later emerged that their conversations discussing the hit on Bowman were being intercepted and recorded by the FBI. These intercepted conversations revealed the hitman's doubts and fears about the operation. In a twist of events, both Jackie and Billy Jackalone were arrested and imprisoned for bookmaking. And while still in prison, a meeting took place between Bowman and Tony Jack, where fences were mended and tensions were eased. State police documentation reveals that Frankie the Bomb Bomberito, a lieutenant within the Jackalone crew and a long-standing emissary between the Detroit Mafia and the biker community in Southeast Michigan, played a crucial role in arranging a sit-down between Bowman and Tony Jack. This meeting successfully resolved tensions and helped ease the hostilities between the parties involved. 3. Mongols versus Mexican Mafia. The rocky relationship between the Mongols and the Mexican Mafia has been filled with bloodshed and bitter rivalry. The Mexican Mafia is a gang that organized in American prisons. They are not directly affiliated with a Mexican criminal organization, but have strong ties to the Southern California Hispanic street gang known as Sureños. These Sureños have a strict code of conduct, and breaking it can have severe consequences. On the other hand, we have the Mongols, an outlaw motorcycle gang who ride on the wild side of life. They're known for their rebellious spirit, leather-clad brotherhood, and roaring motorcycles. Unlike the Mexican Mafia, the Mongols don't have affiliations with any criminal organization. They live by their own rules. In 2004, fate would bring these two formidable forces crashing together. It all began with a motel room party organized by the Bassett Grande Street Gang following a drug sale in Arcadia, California. However, it turned chaotic when they spotted a few Mongol customers who had made their way to the motel. You see, one of the Mongols had broken the sacred code of the Sureños, having once been a member himself. For this reason, the Mexican Mafia had placed a bounty on the Mongol's head, which obligated the Bassett Grande Street Gang members and other loyal Sureños to kill him. So, when the Bassett Gang Street members spotted their chance, they pounced on him. Two of their comrades chose to flee, leaving him to face the wrath of the street gang members alone. And amid the chaotic brawl, he lost his life, and another biker was left injured. After a week in Rosemead, California, the flames of this simmering feud had reignited once again. This time, a Mongol had checked into a motel along with several others from his gang. In the next room, there were Sangra Sureño gang members cooking meth. It didn't take long for a small scuffle to break out between the two groups. But just as things were escalating, the Sangra Sureño gang noticed the presence of Los Angeles Sheriff's deputies. They dismantled their drug operation and were desperate to escape. However, their plans were abruptly interrupted when the Mongol who had sparked the conflict confronted them once more. The Sureños resorted to violence, firing fatal shots that ended his life. Police captured the fleeing suspect and seized their equipment and drugs. With blood already staining the pages of their history, the Mexican Mafia saw an opportunity to capitalize on the chaos. They demanded $20,000 from the Mongols, a price that represented the lost drug revenue. Yet, the proud and defiant Mongols refused to bow down to the Mafia's demands. In an attempt to prevent an all-out war between the two fierce adversaries, a news reporter arranged a meeting between the Mongols and the Mexican Mafia, hoping to find common ground and avert further bloodshed. However, a few weeks later, a man on a Japanese motorcycle entered a Mongol tattoo shop and unleashed a hell of gunfire, claiming the life of the shop's owner. It was a clear message to the Mongols that the Mexican Mafia had put a target on their entire gang. Even when the assassin was finally apprehended, the Mexican Mafia attempted to assassinate him while behind bars, but failed. And so, the bitter rivalry between the Mongols and the Mexican Mafia continues. 4. Pagans Motorcycle Club versus Philly Mafia. In the Philadelphia area, the Pagans Motorcycle Club finds itself locked in a rivalry with the Philly Mafia over territorial control. It all started on a morning in March of 1980 when gentle Don Angelo Bruno was assassinated. Following Bruno's death, Nico Dimo, Little Nicky Scarfo, took charge of the crime organization with the aim of expanding his territory. He sought to establish dominance by demanding payments known as tributes from business operating in his territory. His hired muscle would collect these tributes, often beating up those who didn't pay. However, when Scarfo's hired muscle attempted to demand payment from the Pagans Motorcycle Club, they quickly realized that the Pagans were not a group they wanted as enemies. Known for their fierce loyalty and willingness to engage in violence, the Pagans posed a significant threat to Scarfo's operation. Recognizing this, Scarfo backed down and exempted the Pagans from their extortion payments. Although they had their differences, the Pagans Motorcycle Club and the Philly Mafia still had to maintain a business relationship due to their involvement in drug activities. For a brief period, an implicit truce was observed between the two groups as they engaged in their illicit trade. However, the fragile peace would not last. In April of 1982, tensions flared once again. During a meeting to discuss their partnership in methamphetamine distribution and sales, underboss Salvatore Chucky Merlino deliberately rammed his car into a Pagan's motorcycle, injuring the biker. This act of aggression reignited ignited the feud between the Pagans Motorcycle Club and the Philly Mafia, unleashing a wave of violence and retaliation. Shootings, firebombings, and assaults became common occurrences on both sides. The Pagans, known for their fierce reputation and extensive network, proved to be a formidable adversary for the Mafia. Seeking to settle the escalating conflict, the Philly Mafia agreed to pay the bikers $5,000 to compensate for the injuries and damages inflicted on the motorcycle, and with the payment, an uneasy truce was established between the two groups. In summary, as you can see, the rivalry between motorcycle clubs and mafia groups is not just a part of fiction or movies. They exist in the real world, and their actions have real consequences.